Hey everyone, welcome back to another video here on Nerdbox, and this is Dave, and today we're going over Terrifier 3 Easter eggs and references that you may have missed, whether they were put in there intentionally or they were happy accidents. Okay, before we get into this great list, more full than Art the Clown, Santa Claus Bag, and Terrifier 3, don't forget to drop a like and comment on this video. Help us get to 5,000 subscribers. And just so you know, we are the unofficial Terrifier YouTube channel out there. Nobody has more videos on Terrifier than we do. We have Easter egg videos for every single film, behind the scenes for every single film and the franchise. Tons of interviews, theories, you name it, we got it. So take a look at our Terrifier playlist and see what you've missed. Okay, we have over 60 Easter eggs and references on this list. Several of them have been confirmed. Several of them have been confirmed as happy accidents. So we're going to dive into all of those right now. We start things off in the opening scene where we see Juliet wake up her brother Tim. Now this name could be a subtle nod to the iconic Tiny Tim from A Christmas Carol, a reference to the little brother Timmy in All Hallows Eve, or even the Killer in Pieces. I tend to lean towards Tiny Tim for this one, but hear me out real quick. So I'm Italian, just like Damien Leone is. We're both from New York, a borough or two apart from each other, and amongst Italian families, there was a Christmas Carol movie that was pretty popular. Maybe it was with his family as well, maybe it was just mine. Albert Finney's Scrooge. In that movie, towards the end, Scrooge falls through a portal to hell, and it was pretty damn scary to see as a kid.
Truly, I will repent!
After Juliet discovers Art by the Christmas tree, she watches him pull out an axe, a weapon that is eerily reminiscent of the one used by Billy in Silent Night, Deadly Night. But the scene is actually paying homage to the TV show Tales from the Crypt episode All Through the House starring Larry Drake. As Art stalks through the house, he chases Juliet's mother into her room and violently chops a hole in the door, peeking through it in a manner strikingly similar to Jack Torrance in The Shining. But this was mainly inspired by that episode of Tales from the Crypt. And it wasn't until after they shot that scene that they had the aha moment, it's just like The Shining. Now, Art's headshot to the mother was also a reference to the mother unaliving the father in that Tales from the Crypt episode with the fire poker.
You deaf? I said let me have it.
After Art has brutally unalived everyone in the house, we see him calmly eating cookies in the kitchen, echoing Billy's actions in Black Christmas 2006, the remake. However, these cookies do not include Billy's secret recipe. Behind Art, a drawing of Mike from Monsters Inc. on the fridge. And then we see Art cleaning the dishes, something that we saw in the 1972 Tales from the Crypt UK movie, which inspired the TV episode on the television series for Tales from the Crypt. And in the movie, that mother is cleaning a glass that she filled with her husband's blood. We jump to the inside of the Terrifier Funhouse, where a police officer is investigating a call and discovers a body. The voice on the dispatch is Lisa Marie Falcone, daughter of producer Phil Falcone. After Art retrieves his head, he finds his way to the subway, and behind him there is a poster that says, "Keep your eyes open for creeps and ghouls on and around the trains." An ominous warning of what we're about to witness, which is something we saw in the opener of Terrifier 1, where a sign hung just over Monica Brown's shoulder with the saying, "The end is just a new beginning," referencing that we were watching the end of the movie at the beginning. Another poster on the train has the title Haunted Hayride, and there's a tagline that says, "Every Friday and Sunday in October, come scream with us." If you notice, Scream is in a red bolded font, a clear nod to the Scream franchise. The character on the poster bears a striking resemblance to the Phantom Skull mask from The Phantom of the Opera in 1989, starring Robert Englund. Now, these posters that have been created for this movie wouldn't be the first ones that were created for the franchise. In Terrifier 2, the creative team converted Damien Leone into a female singer on the Queen Phoenix poster in Sienna's room. Now, sitting on the train with Art, we see a disheveled woman reminiscent of the infamous bag lady in Home Alone 2. At the sanitarium, Burke wakes up from his nap with the cult classic Plan 9 from Outer Space playing on the television. As he goes to investigate, he radios Dean for help. The voice that responds is Joe Falcone, another one of Phil's children. Inside Victoria's room, horrifying text is scrawled on the wall in blood, echoing the words etched into the woman's body in the Terrifier short film, and also at the end of the previous film. We see Victoria sitting with her legs crossed in a white hospital gown, similar to Linda in The Evil Dead. This next one I can't really confirm, but it sounds awfully suspicious to me. Now, when Victoria attacks Burke and throws him up against the wall, she lets out a sinister growl that eerily sounds like the demon from The Exorcist. Now, the reason why I'm saying that this is possibly an Easter egg reference, because back in Terrifier 1, Damien Leone sampled the growl of Church from Pet Sematary. Art and Victoria return to the train, and we see a cosplayer dressed as the Mike Gianelli Art the Clown from the Ninth Circle short film enter the train. After a little fun, Art and Victoria retreat to an abandoned house where Art finds solace in a rocking chair by a window that eerily echoes the Amityville Horror House. And that attic, definitely an homage to Black Christmas 1974. So this one may be a bit of a reach too, but you let me know by dropping your thoughts in the comments below. We see Victoria retreat to a dingy and grimy bathroom where she sinks away for the next 5 years in a bathtub that eerily looks like the one in the first game in the Saw franchise that featured Dr. Gordon and Adam trapped in the bathroom. Greg arrives at Sunny Valley Treatment and Wellness Center where he encounters Marie Macer, the actress who played the woman in the Terrifier short film behind the reception desk. As mentioned in the previous Terrifier 3 trailer Easter egg video, Sienna's clothing color scheme seems to be inspired by Jess Bradford from the 1974 film Black Christmas. And while I can't confirm that, her aunt's name is Jess. Upon entering Sienna's room, we see a mural featuring a sword intertwined with a snake or dragon hidden within it. We also see Sienna's welcome home card, which features a fairy on the cover of it, echoing those that we saw in her father's art book in Terrifier 2. As she's reading the card, there's a rocket depicted on the inside of it, reminiscent of the one Al drew in the movie Gate for her brother Glenn, who found the drawing after she was pulled into a portal to hell. That one may make a little bit more sense when we talk about the gate at the end of this video. Now, in Sienna's room, we also see that there are butterflies throughout the entire room. They're on the walls, they're on the doors, they're in picture frames, and this may be something similar to the X's that we've seen in the Terrifier 2 movie. Now, David Howard Thornton gave us this Easter egg in the comments of that video, saying that the X's in Jonathan's room in the previous film represented everybody that died in the franchise. The butterflies, I wasn't able to catch them all, but the count is in the double digits, so this may represent the same thing. Just can't confirm it right now. Sienna drifts into a flashback of being in her father's art studio. And there's a red picture on the wall just behind a young Sienna that I cannot place. but it could possibly be from the Night of the Living Dead. If you know what it is, drop it in the comments. We also see a drawing on his desk, which I'm going to count. It is a scene of a woman surrounded by men and creatures being forced onto a table, just like the woman at the end of the Ninth Circle short film. Then, as young Sienna is going to leave, on the door is a drawing of a crucifixion highlighted in blue, a clear foreshadowing of what's to come. I have another one here that I can't include on the list, so you let me know in your comments what your thoughts are on this one. But at Art's house, we see two demolition workers show up and start to go through the bottom floor. And the one demolition worker, as we know, is creeped out, where the other one jokes about a serial killer that used to live there and kill children and bury them in the basement. Now, this could be a nod to Freddy Krueger and Nightmare on Elm Street, but I'm thinking that this is possibly tied to Art the Clown's origins of being a serial killer, because that is referenced twice in this movie. After Art is awakened and he attacks the one worker, the camera focuses on a nail that falls to the floor. Art then uses the nail to drive it through the worker's hand during the attack, echoing the additional crucifixion imagery that we're seeing throughout the movie. In the next scene, a chilling echo of American Werewolf in London. Sienna is interrupted during a family dinner by the spectral Brooke. Like Jack in the classic horror film, Brooke's appearance foreshadows a haunting revelation about the sinister events unfolding around her, and that she should end her own life.
But I have to warn you.
Warn me?
We were attacked by a werewolf.
I'm not listening to this.
I was murdered. An unnatural death. And now I walk the earth in limbo until the werewolf's curse is lifted.
Shut up.
The wolf's bloodline must be severed. The last remaining werewolf must be destroyed. It's you, David.
At the dorm, Jonathan's room features two posters, one for the band Dream Kid, and adjacent from that is a poster for the 1997 short film Coven, which reveals a sinister undercurrent. This film's exploration of alcohol abuse and cult indoctrination mirrors the potential dangers lurking within Jonathan's circle. Coven was written, directed, produced, and starred Mark Rochart. Mark is the father's name in the opening scene. We meet Jonathan's roommate, Cole, a subtle reference to the actor who played Timmy in All Hallows Eve, Cole Matheson. His girlfriend, Mia, her name is a direct homage to Mia Allen from the Evil Dead remake. Lauren Levera based her unhinged performance on Mia unraveling in the film.
Sienna is a culmination of so many final girls that I love, like Lori, Sydney, Ripley is a big one, and one of my favorites that we didn't really discuss, Damien and I, is Mia Allen from the Evil Dead franchise. And
this one's unconfirmed because there are several novels out there with the same name. It's Mia's podcast, Raven Image. And this adds a little bit of a layer of mystery or a possible clue to what's going on. The closest thing that I can find about this one being related to the movie is the novel by Paul Fleischman, which is about an artist's creations coming to life, suggesting that the characters in the film may be caught in a web of supernatural or otherworldly forces. We arrive at the bar where Art passes by the bar's window and peers inside, noticing Santa. This was done in reverse in the 1974 Tales from the Crypt movie, where Santa passes the house, peers into the window at his next victim. The Santa mask hanging on the door is eerily similar to the one that the Crypt Keeper was wearing in the Tales from the Crypt episode that we referenced earlier in this video. Meanwhile, Sienna and her aunt manage to spend some time catching up when her aunt mentions Sister Rosemary, which is a clear nod to the iconic horror film Rosemary's Baby. At the mall, the ominous Clown Cafe song begins to play in the store that Sienna and Gabby are in.
Drop on by the Clown Cafe, your favorite meals on wheels. The menu is disgusting and it's full of special deals.
We then see Art make his way to the Santa Claus setup, where he distributes presents to the children. He hands out a stuffed possum, which is a direct callback to the little pale girl playing with one in the previous film. When the real Santa returns to reclaim his chair, his name is Bill, a reference to Billy Bob Thornton's character in Bad Santa. There was a few interesting comments that were made on the podcast that Jonathan was watching back at the dorm. And I don't know if you caught all of them. First, it was mentioned that Jonathan had testified on behalf of Sienna, and that is the only reason why she is free in this movie. The The second is that Jonathan's dad was obsessed with Art the Clown. Art's arrival at the sorority house is a direct reference to the iconic Black Christmas. The white van carrying Art's sinister bag of goodies is a familiar element from Christmas Evil. Now, according to Damien Leone, this was not a direct reference to that movie. It's just another happy coincidence. Back at Greg and Jessica's house, Sienna's dislike of cereal is a clever callback to her dream in Terrifier 2, where she plunged her hand into a box of Art Krispies to retrieve the sword. And then the following morning, when she was creeped out by the box of cereal that she heard laughing at her at the breakfast table. We learned that Sienna's father's name is Michael. Now, this might be a reference to Michael Levy, a producer in the franchise, and the unfortunate exterminator who met his gruesome demise in the first film. When Sienna goes to Gabby's room to ask her about the diary, you may have missed this, but the birdcage sitting off to the side appears to be the same one that we see someone's skull in the final act of the film. Also, on the door, there's a drawing of a moth. Moths in mythology means rebirth and the cycle of life. Or combine that with the lamb on Gabby's nightstand. Maybe those are subtle references to the Silence of the Lambs. In the collection of drawings on Gabby's wall, there is a picture of a Valkyrie riding a horse. Back at the sorority house, Mia recounts Sienna's overreaction. And during her conversation with Cole, she compares Art the Clown to Jack the Ripper, the infamous serial killer whose crimes inspired Damien Leone to create Allie's brutal demise in Terrifier 2. Mia then shares her desire to peer into Art's eyes and search for a soul, which foreshadows her later encounter with him in the shower, where Art removes his glasses to stare directly into her eyes before booping her nose. The bombing at the mall is broadcast on the news, and we see Tom Savini, a bystander, being interviewed. Savini is a legendary special effects artist whose work significantly influenced Damien Leone's early filmmaking aspirations. Back at the sorority house, Art unleashes a terrifying attack, wielding a chainsaw to brutally unalive Cole and Mia, echoing the gruesome demise in the film Pieces. But this wasn't a reference to that. It was actually inspired by an idea of what a modern-day remake of Psycho would look like, with the side of Scarface. We then drift into Sienna's dream, where she has another flashback with her father, who presents her with a drawing of a warrior angel, the inspiration for her costume creation in Terrifier 2. In that dream, we also see an orc, reminiscent of Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, who becomes an unexpected collaborator in Sienna's costume creation. Sienna wakes up from her dream and goes downstairs to find her uncle crucified to the wall, and you may have missed it, but Art is mimicking the pose of Jesus on the cross. We then see Victoria dressed up as the little pale girl, and she is wearing a crown of thorns. Art quickly attacks Sienna, hurling her over the couch. He steps over her, raises his arms in the air with a mallet in hand before delivering a devastating blow, and this is a reference to Black Christmas 1974. Now, I don't know if the pinball machine lights went off in your head too when it comes to Easter eggs and references, but after Sienna comes through and we see the reveal of Jonathan's head in the cage, for me at the theater I was like, I've seen something like that before. Is it Cannibal Holocaust? Or is it the skull on a poster or in Night of the Living Dead? Let me know what you think. Maybe it's something else. Following Sienna's beheading of Victoria, her body undergoes a grotesque metamorphosis, melting away in a manner reminiscent of the Deadites' demise in the conclusion of Evil Dead. A sinister mist creeps into the room, revealing a portal to the underworld similar to the one that's depicted in The Gate. Then, after Sienna drives her sword into Art's abdomen, his eyes turn an eerie white, echoing the possession scene in The Exorcist where Regan lifts from the bed when she's at her weakest moment. But Art manages to escape and finds himself on a bus where he encounters the executive producer Phil Falcone as the bus driver. In this final scene, there are several clever references to the original short film, The Ninth Circle. We see a woman reading a book called The Ninth Circle, a nod to the short film, The Ninth Circle. The book's author, Rosemary Castavetti, is a nod to the film Rosemary's Baby, combining both Rosemary's name with the surname Castavetti, Rosemary's neighbor in the film. The picture on the book, Olga Turga, costume designer on Terrifier 2, and then finally, the interaction between the girl and Art mirrors the encounter at the bus station with Art's signature horn-raising gesture raised by his head.
Please stop.
So those are all the Easter eggs, references, and happy coincidences that I found during the film, along with some of the nerd boxes that contributed to this video. If I missed something, let me know by dropping it in the comments. If something seems too much of a reach, again, let me know by dropping that in the comments as well. Now again, just remember, we have over 30 plus videos on Terrifier. We have Easter eggs for all the other films. We have interviews with Damien. We have interviews with David Howard Thornton, including a video where he chooses his favorite Christmas movie, so be sure to check that out. There's lots of goodies on the channel, and also don't forget to check out our other videos, like the recent watch party for the movie Stream from the producers of Terrifier, where we get a bunch of Easter eggs and behind the scenes commentary from Mike Levy, Player 1 and Player 4 in that video. Anyway, until the next video here on Nerdbox, see ya.